Hi, my name's Adi Roberts from In War and Peace, and this is today's inspirations. So today's inspiration is from modelling friend Nikolay Mironov and his amazing duckbill diorama. The idea for this diorama was inspired by a documentary photograph from the book Armoured Victory by Steven Zalaga. Tank battles of the US Army in the European theatre of operations from the Ardennes to the surrender of Germany. The loaded Studebaker, stuck in a huge puddle, is about to be towed by the crew of an approaching Sherman Dozer. He really liked the photo itself and has used kits from Star, ICM, Evolution Miniatures and Alpine Miniatures in 1/35 scale. In 1939 to 1940, the US Army Ordnance Corps was developing a 2.5 ton, 2,300 kilogram tactical 6x6 trucks that could operate off-road in all weathers. Studebaker Yellow Coach, a GM company, and International Harvester all submitted designs that were accepted and went into production in 1941. A total of 219,882 2.5 ton 6x6 trucks and similar 5 ton 6x4 trucks versions in 13 variations were built. The Studebaker was a primary manufacturer which built 197,678 of them at its South Bend, Indiana plant, while Rio produced 22,204 more at its Lansing, Michigan plant from 1944 under a subcontract. Rio trucks were identical to the Studebakers, but Rio built only cargo model trucks with the long wheelbase and without the front mounted winch. Most of the Studebaker trucks were actually delivered to the Russian army, who particularly enjoyed their Studebaker stocks, as they were found that the Hercules engine could run on almost any type of gasoline at hand. Standard gross weight limits were regularly exceeded out of sheer necessity, and the Soviet personnel grew so fond of the American product that they referred to them simply as Studers. Eventually, various improvised configurations never envisaged by the American designers were implemented. The side rails and the flatbed were removed, and these were replaced with a steel pipe framework featuring variable elevation and traversal using a hand cranked system. Welded on top of this folding frame were 15 steel rails to hold 14 or more M13 Katyusha high explosive battlefield rockets. The M13 rocket was 5 feet 11 inches long and 5.2 inches in diameter, weighing some 93 pounds each. This variant of the US-6 was the first mobile rocket projector used by the Soviet Army. The Germans, falling under the lethal reach of such a weapon, nicknamed these rocket launchers Stalin's organ for their distinctive howling sound when firing. Battlefield rockets, while only accurate to a certain degree, proved a tremendous area saturation weapon and psychological tool for the Soviets during World War II. The US-6 was used in many roles across the Red Army, from troop and munition carriers to artillery mover and battlefield support weapon. In July 1943, the Soviet Army planned a major offensive against the Germans at Kursk. Soviet General Zhukov became aware of the battle plan months in advance and knew the enemy fielded 912,000 men, 2,928 tanks, 10,000 artillery pieces and 2,100 aircraft for the attack. Zhukov then had enough time to amass a much superior force, numbering 1.9 million men, 5,100 tanks, 25,000 artillery pieces. The major problem for Zhukov in the upcoming operation would be supply lines, as tanks and support vehicles moved ahead across the battlefield. Additionally, there would be a difficulty in quickly moving infantry and field guns to advantageous positions along the changing front. The answer to Zhukov's problems were thousands of Studebaker trucks to resupply vehicles, move artillery and crews, and haul infantry. After the decisive Soviet victory, it became clearly obvious that the role of the US-6 as a reliable heavy-duty truck played a critical role for advancing Soviet forces. In appreciation, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin himself sent Studebaker an official letter of gratitude from the Russian people. With the war in Europe over in May of 1945, production of the Studebaker US-6 6x4 and 6x6 model trucks was ended in July. Several wartime personalities would end up agreeing on the value of the 2.5 ton truck as one of the most important logistical innovation that really won World War II for the Allies, more than any other single weapon of the conflict. M4 Sherman tanks were fitted with bulldozer blades to clear beach obstructions as part of the D-Day 6th of June 1944 attack on Germany-held Normandy coast. Some never made the beach as their tank landing craft got hit by a mine and sank. The American Army in North Africa realised they needed bulldozers to help make airfields, clear roads, fill in bomb craters, move destroyed vehicles and tanks off of the roads and clear rubble. They shipped a number of different agricultural and construction industry bulldozers. These were unarmoured and very dangerous to operate anywhere near the battlefront line. The army came up with the idea of fitting dozer blade to the front of a tank. Sherman dozers were first used in Italy in April 1944 during the landings at Anzio. In total, 1,957 tank bulldozer blades were manufactured during World War II. Sherman dozers were used during the Battle of Normandy and all the way to Berlin, when tanks and supply vehicles could not cross ditches and anti-tank trenches. Sherman dozers were called in to fill those holes. On the D-Day beaches, they made roads through the sand dunes so equipment, men and tanks could get off the beaches and into the countryside to take objectives. They were also used to construct ramps of earth over the top of anti-tank obstacles and sea walls to protect the hydraulic setup from small arms fire, and armour plating cover is bolted on. The raising and lowering of the blade can be controlled from inside the tank. The blade can also be jettisoned in emergencies from inside the tank. A new wider T18 periscope is fitted to the driver's hatch so he could see better what he was doing during bulldozer operations. Shortly after D-Day, a platoon of 4 tank dozers of the 741st Tank Battalion, operating on the beaches under intense fire, removed the beach obstacles, opened roads and pushed off beach landing vehicles. The tank dozer was used to break through the hedgerows, broaden existing gaps and gaps blown with explosive charges, and thereby facilitated the use of other than normal entrances through the hedgerows. Tank and gun emplacements were prepared. roadblocks were cleared, and in addition, rubble, wrecked vehicles and snow were removed and craters filled. It was found necessary in many instances to provide a tank dozer for these purposes to work in conjunction with the roller type mine exploders in sweeping roads and shoulders. In connection with the Roer and Rhine River operations, bridge approaches were built, launching sites for LCMs and LCVPs, and crane sites were prepared and cuts dozed in the river dikes. This absolutely stunning diorama from Nikolai is beyond words in the amount of detail and work ethic that has gone into this diorama. I'm now going to rest my voice and allow you to listen to some music while taking in all these fantastic pictures. I hope you've enjoyed this video on inspirations and particularly admired the fantastic work that is put into these dioramas. So if you're wanting to see Sherman tanks in real life, may I suggest the world famous Bovington Tank Museum. And if you're looking for something to do with the children this coming Easter, I can't recommend a better place, with plenty of things for the children to do and a great family day out. And if you have enjoyed this work, then please press like, subscribe, and of course tell all your friends. I will be back soon with another video. Until then, I am AD Roberts from In War and Peace, the home of inspirations. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please be safe, take care, much magic, and of course, happy modelling.